This is your Daily Detroit, recorded on the afternoon of Thursday, October 17th, 2019. I'm Jer Stays.
Coming to you from the beautiful Fisher Building, I'm Cheyenne Nocerini. On today's show,
Detroit has a championship sports team.
A major downtown company is switching historic office towers.
Ford has a new electric charging network.
And Sven Gustafson joins me for a review of a Detroit-style pizza place down in Atlanta.
Can't wait for that one. With a 1-0 win over the Michigan Stars Wednesday night, Detroit City FC clinched the 2019 NPSL Members Cup Championship. Yazid Matthews scored the winning goal in the 67th minute. City's unbeaten in 23 league matches this year, and there will be a big party at the final game at Keyworth Stadium this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. versus the Milwaukee Torrent. Be there, be square.
One of downtown Detroit's major employers is changing locations. Strategic Staffing Solutions, a global IT and staffing firm, is moving from the Penobscot to the Fisher Building. The plan is for the first phase of the move of their development center to be done by the holidays. The rest of their offices will follow in early 2020 and should be settled by midsummer of next year. Strategic, known as S3, will take the 6th, 20th, and 21st floors. The owners, the platform, say the Fisher will be nearly 80% occupied. That's the most it has been in years. It is also a blow for the Penobscot, who loses a major tenant. Jer, you used to work over there.
Yeah, in fact, in full disclosure in a previous life, I actually worked for S3, helping write press releases like the one that we got about this today. I have zero inside knowledge on this one, but I can tell you that the Penobscot has not been taken care of like it should be. There were multiple times I just hung out upstairs or worked from a coffee shop downstairs because the elevators were toast all day.
All day, I know.
Just it's crazy. And the temperature control there was less than stellar. The Penobscot, and this is really sad because the Penobscot is a beautiful building, but it's definitely starting to get dog-eared because it's just not getting the investment. One of the things I just like to point out is I believe their welcome boards have not been updated since I was in high school. If you look at the pictures, it's like Campus Martius from like before it was a park. It's really kind of insane.
Right.
And with the rest of downtown improving, I mean, Triple Properties, and they're the ones who own this. They own the Silverdome site, a few other places. In fact, they owned that billboard that got hacked.
Right. Yeah. We talked about that last 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they just, for whatever reason, I don't know if there isn't the capital, there isn't whatever, but they just haven't been keeping up with stuff.
Well, they are also the same people who used to own the beautiful and historic State Savings Bank, and they wanted to turn it into a parking lot or a garage.
Yeah, that was a crazy story because that building's from like the 1910s, 1915.
Yeah, super old, super beautiful.
Yep. I'm glad Dan Gilbert got his paws on that building in particular. You know, I just saw some photos of the restoration of the State Savings, and it's absolutely gorgeous. They've done a really great job, and I'm glad that S3's found a home up here at the Fisher Building. It's just beautiful out this way, and there's also some really cool businesses that people don't know about. You think about Godwin E. and Tugi's Yum Village. You can't turn down fried plantains ever. The Fisher Bakery is tasty, and of course, I mean, there's the Peacock Room.
Right. I love the Peacock Room, and I think I'm going to stop there as soon as we're done here. I'll say hi to Rachel for us.
One of the big questions with electric vehicles as they roll out is where you'll charge them, especially on the road. Tesla has a network, but what about the other brands? The news today is that Ford has stepped up their big bet on electric vehicles. They just announced 2 years of free access to a newly expanded network of charging stations to the buyers of their brand new electric cars. The network has more than 12,000 charging stations, and they've allowed Amazon to sell installation services for their home chargers. Something important to note, Ford has a new Mustang-inspired electric SUV coming out soon, and, as we've mentioned before on the show, they're co-investors in electric vehicle startup Rivian, along with Amazon.
Can other cities do Detroit-style pizza right? Daily Detroit's own Cheyenne Nocerini just got back from the She Podcasts conference down in Atlanta, where she sampled Detroit-style pizza from a local restaurant that's getting a lot of buzz. And she joins us in the studio. Cheyenne, hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
We're great. How are you? How was She Podcast?
I'm great. I'm still riding high on a conference, the conference buzz.
The post-conference buzz. Yes. Yeah. That sounds super wonky, but I know it well,
Yeah.
actually.
I'm waiting to come down, but it's still going.
Yeah. Hashtag adulting. All right. So Cheyenne, tell us, where'd you go? Where did you have Detroit-style pizza in Atlanta?
There is a place, it's called Nina and Raffi. It's new, like it just opened this year, and it's like a pizza place. And we heard about it from Bon Appetit.
Mhm.
It made the list of their top 50 semifinalists for their hot 10 best new restaurants.
And that's one that actually Detroit Place got into the finals.
Yes.
But it's interesting because it caught our attention. We're like, oh, a pizza place, Detroit style pizza. And at first we just assumed, oh, it's got to be from around here. And then, alas, no.
It was like record scratch, Detroit.
Huh?
No, it's in
What?
Atlanta. What is this?
And so Nina and Raffi, is it exclusively pizza?
So they have pizza, they have appetizers, they have salads. They only have like a few Italian specialty dishes. So
So pizza is the
it's
main thing.
mainly pizza.
Interesting. Okay. So what do we think? I mean, pod, what do we think about, this idea that other cities sort of taking the Detroit style pizza mantle and running with it?
I mean, I'm very torn about it. It's one thing if somebody is an expat or, they're kind of spreading the flag, if you will. But I'm a little, these folks are from, I think, Jersey. So I don't know. I mean, I feel it, good pizza is good pizza. And I'm not ever going to take that away from folks. And I'm glad to see that people are seeing the Detroit style pizza as more than Little Caesars, because lots of people think Little Caesars is Detroit style pizza because it's everywhere, but it is not. It's not what we consider like the high end of what we do here.
No, those are called hot and readies.
Right. I mean, they do have the square, but it's gross.
What do you think, Cheyenne?
I mean, there are people who try to do New York style pizza,
Yes.
right?
And they do it well.
And some people do it really well, and then some people don't do it very well.
Would you
So-
consider Sapino a New York style?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say.
And that's excellent.
Yeah, and another one of my local favorites, Sergeant Pepperoni, is close. It's not quite New York style, but it's New York style in spirit, I would say.
Okay.
Right. I think Pizza 112 up in Auburn Hills
Another good choice.
would be I would consider that New York style pizza.
And let's keep in mind too that the moniker, the tag Detroit style pizza is really only a few years old. Like, obviously, Detroit style
we
pizza has
always
been
just
around
knew-
for decades, right?
Yeah, we always just knew it as like Buddy's or
Deep dish.
Cloverleaf or Louis.
And we called it deep dish or Sicilian style or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then
we didn't call it Detroit style pizza until somebody at some national publication, probably. I don't know. Somebody, we should do that sometime. Like, where did this term come from? Who was the first to use Detroit style pizza?
well, and I think for listeners, we should define Detroit style pizza a little bit for a second, shouldn't we?
Why don't you do that, Jer?
So one of the key things about the Detroit style pizza is the pan. The idea of the pan is that it's like a blue steel that was left over from holding like tray parts in the
Parts
factory.
for the auto.
Yeah. And so it gives it a very crispy kind of crust that's very enjoyable. Another thing is that the toppings are kind of buried. It's something where, you don't have the pepperoni on the very top. Usually the sauce goes on the top.
Right. So
In a Detroit style, right?
in
right.
a Detroit
Detroit
style.
style.
So it's sort of
Also,
backwards.
And it's heavy on cheese.
very
For sure.
heavy,
Very
on,
heavy
cheese.
on cheese.
Also, the dough itself is different than regular pizza dough. It's more of a focaccia style dough a little bit. So it's more bread-like.
And it lets you kind of push the toppings and the bread into the corners a little bit more, because there really isn't like that traditional like outer ring crust. It's more of like a wall, if you will.
A wall of crispy cheese, and in the corners,
Yeah, the
It's-
corner slices, it's where it's at. That's
Yeah.
what everybody wants, because you
Yeah.
get the two walls of the caramelized cheese crust.
And great local examples are Buddy's, Louis, Shields has a Detroit style version.
I mean, I think we need to reverse the order because it's Louis, then Buddy's, then Shields. But that's my own personal opinion, guys.
I've been hearing great things about Como's too, and I've yet to try their Detroit style pizza, but I hear it's
Yeah, I hear
really good.
I hear it's really good too. A more, I don't want to call it pedestrian, but accessible price-wise version is, I think like Jets is a pseudo Detroit style.
Yeah.
It's not the complete Detroit style, but it's a pseudo style.
I mean, it is Detroit style,
But the toppings are on top.
but the toppings are on top. Yes.
All right, so
Back to the pizza in Atlanta.
yes, back to the matter at hand. What did you think of it?
Okay. So I went with a group of women who none of them had ever had Detroit style pizza before. So that was pretty interesting to see their take.
And set the scene for us. Where are we?
This restaurant is located on the Atlanta Beltline. So it reminded me a little bit of like the Jaquinder Cut, but with more development.
Right. This is the new like greenway, like it's a ring around the city essentially.
Yeah, and it connects all the different neighborhoods.
Yeah, no motorized vehicles allowed.
No, like we had to park with a valet and then walk down some stairs.
Similar idea to what might happen with the Joe Louis Greenway
Indeed.
Right.
in Detroit.
Yes. So it's in like this cute little neighborhood. It's in the bottom floor of a condo. They have old pizza peels on the wall, like the wooden like pizza peels that you put the pizza into the oven. They were used and you could tell they had been around for a long time. It was kind of dark and cozy inside. You could see into the kitchen. The bar was nice. They had these cool grates along the hallway to go to the bathroom where they had all their bottles of liquor, like the extras.
So was it
locked
Detroit
up.
themed in any way?
No,
Okay.
not Detroit themed. It's just a pizzeria, but it's like a high-end fancy pizzeria.
Yeah. And back to the pizza. What'd you think of it?
Okay, back to the pizza. Highlights. They got the crust. They got the corners. And they got the edge right.
That's most important, right?
That is the most
Yeah.
important thing. They've got the amount of cheese right.
So they have the structure of this on point.
Yes.
They've done their research.
They've done their research on the main part. The bottom, I know oftentimes we've talked about some Detroit style pizzas not having a crispy crust, Sven.
A soggy bottom, if you will.
The soggy bottom.
Well, actually, my issue with Detroit style pizza is that often the top, because I think of the way they layer it, the top gets soggy.
Yeah.
Like underneath the toppings and the cheese and everything
Yeah, so
can
like
get soggy.
the middle part of
Yeah.
it gets soggy. Well,
Yeah, well, the top of the dough essentially
Right.
before the toppings, cheese, and sauce
yeah,
gets
it
soggy.
or maybe it just doesn't get cooked all the way through. That could be it too. The bottom was super crispy. So that was really good. I'm going to take some points away for the sauce though.
Okay, why is that?
It was a fresh sauce. It seemed like it was a not cooked pizza sauce.
But I mean,
It should be kind of a spicy sauce though. Like
It should be cooked. It should be like it's
Like
been
so when you say
sitting for a
fresh,
while.
you're not saying it's about fresh ingredients. You're saying it's like a raw, like not a raw,
Yes,
but
a raw sauce.
a raw sauce. Okay.
A sauce that has not been cooked down a little bit. So it's like you take the tomatoes, you crush them, you add the spices, and then you put it on the pizza. It is great for a regular like New York style pizza. I love that kind of pizza if I'm getting that kind of pizza. But if I'm getting a Detroit style pizza, what ends up happening is the liquid from those fresh tomatoes kind of pools out a little bit.
and makes it soggy like I'm talking about.
There was like a pool of like tomato juice on the pizza when it came out.
Now, was that just the style that you ordered, or do they all come that way there, do you think?
The other pizza we got was a white pizza.
Oh.
So it didn't have any sauce on it. So I couldn't tell. It wasn't quite as spicy
Yeah.
as you would get at like Louis, But in the end, it tasted really good. Everybody at my table enjoyed themselves. They all loved the corner.
Yeah, and these were non-Detroiters.
Non-Detroiters. I had a retired New York City police officer
Duh.
with me.
Oh wow, they got to know a New York style.
Yeah, so she liked it.
Yeah.
She was a little concerned. She was like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But she liked it. She was like, I can see why this is good. I can see why this is popular. One more thing about the sauce. I forgot to mention. There wasn't quite enough sauce. It's like they kind of poured like 2 alleyways down each side of the pizza, which is fine. But there were spots in my slice that didn't have any sauce. And so it was dry. That's not good. You want to kind of splotch it around a little bit more.
Okay, so overall,
Overall,
beyond your sauce thoughts, thumbs up, thumbs down.
thumbs up. Everything else we had was great too.
All right.
So yeah,
So like did they do cheese bread?
they had really good cheese bread. So it reminded me of lantern bread from Green Lantern, which was super cheesy.
And that's another local like kind of chain, but it doesn't really pride itself on the Detroit style pizza. It's more of like your traditional pizza, but they are also known for their bread. So that's kind of a
Yes.
neat hybrid.
Yeah. So I give it a thumbs up. I say if you're in Atlanta, check them out.
All right, that's Nina and Rafi in Atlanta. Thanks, Cheyenne.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Before we let you go, we just got word that the United Auto Workers are prepared to take a tentative agreement with General Motors to their members. The thumbnail so far is $11,000 in ratification bonuses, raises for workers, a path for temporary workers to become permanent, and the closure of the Lordstown plant in Ohio.
But the good news locally, there's new product for the Detroit Hamtramck plant just down the road from the studio.
I'm sure we'll talk about it more on the show tomorrow as more details become available.
And we're done for today. If you like what we're doing, consider becoming a member at dailydetroit.com/join. For just a few bucks a month, you can help push Detroit's conversation forward.
And another way to help that doesn't cost money, tell somebody about your Daily Detroit. Really, it's the best way to share the show.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Cheyenne Oserini.
And I'm Jer Stays. Take care of each other. We'll see you around Detroit. Shy, taking 3rd Street down to the studio is the power move.
I just learned that today. Man, it's so fast and the houses are great and there's a lot of really cool, weird art.
There's that one thing with the solar panels and it kind of looks like a teepee. I don't even understand it, but there's no sign. It's just there.
I think it's kind of new, maybe?
I'll take it. I mean, this neighborhood does rock. I love walking home. You know, there's the weird and then there's the super nice because like there's Pallister Street. I like to cut through there because it's just like so fancy. I cut through there on my way to the north end.
It's so nice. I love Pallister. It's often like not talked about, but it's beautiful.